Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for the intro there, David. And we'll get you out of here by 1 o'clock. That's the only other thing I want to add. Make sure we honor your time with that. I'm Presley Reeder. It is a privilege to get to do these interviews. And I'm going to do a little introduction here of what we're going to be talking about and the folks we're going to be talking to. And I'm excited. There's a buzz in the room. There's a buzz in the world about crypto. So I'm really impressed that our guests are willing to sit up here and try to publicly educate, because I get a lot of private education in conversations with friends and family, but it takes some guts, I think, to sit up in front of folks and try to be an educator about this particular topic. So I'm grateful that Rich and Nathaniel are here today to do that. Before I introduce them, I also want a few caveats for the conversation that I wrote down that I think will be as helpful to me as to you. But first of all, we're not selling or endorsing anything today. We always want to say that, particularly as the church. David talked about the purpose of the forum. We're not selling or endorsing. We're here to educate and connect you with each other. Number two, we are not going to try to cover this entire topic in 45 minutes. Okay, so this is like trying to describe the internet to you in 1995 or something. This is not a possible thing. So just know that we want to connect you with people who know what they're talking about. We want to get you resources if you're interested in that. Hopefully the conversation will continue for you and you'll learn more and more. We are trying to tell you what's going on in Phoenix, so I'm excited that not only are Rich and Nathaniel able to educate us about crypto, but they're going to be talking about Mercy cryptocurrency, which they've developed, and that's something that's happening right here in Phoenix. We like connecting you to local Phoenix business leaders, so that's something we are trying to do. And then the last caveat is that I have very little idea what I'm talking about. And most of you know me, so you already knew that, but some of you don't, and that's my caveat for myself. So, all right, Rich Endicott. Give Rich a round of applause again, please, for being brave enough. Rich and Nathaniel Spatz, who you'll meet later, are with, as I said, Mercy cryptocurrency. They're bankers, longtime bankers here in the Valley, and so have a history with banking. Rich, is there anything else you want to share about your background before we jump into the topic?
I actually think that we probably should jump into the topic, but as I said, I've been in banking for nearly 40 years now. Here and in Canada, traveled most of the globe doing commercial transactions in the banking world. So, that's my resume, chimed down to just a couple of words. Nathaniel and I have known each other for, I guess, going on 12 years now, and we've worked together. And he's going to share with you that he came up with this concept of Mercy. And he's quite brilliant, as many of you already know that. And so he's the brains behind this, and so when he gets up here, he can share that with you. But
yeah,
no, Presley, we should jump into it.
We'll jump in. Yeah, we're going to cover crypto, and then we're going to there'll be a brief video, and then Nathaniel will come up and talk about Mercy. So you have a presentation. I'm going to interject with questions. Why don't you start us, blockchain or something?
Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is crypto. What is crypto? And when asked that question, most people kind of look like the deer in the headlights. They don't know what crypto really is. But crypto is a digital currency. You say, oh my gosh, digital currency. Well, we've been in a digital world, I'm going to say for the last 20, 25 years. Every transaction that you conduct at your bank, at your doctor's office, in any business that you operate, when you go to the store and you buy a gallon of milk and they enter it in the POS system at the teller checkout, it goes in there and it orders a new gallon of milk from the vendor. All of these things are done in a digital fashion. So you've been operating in a digital world, whether you've known it or not, for the last 20, 25 years. Every transaction that takes place in your life, unless you pay cash for something, is a digital transaction. And that's not going to change. That's going to continue to intensify. We could not possibly, in the banking world, keep all of our records on paper. Would be impossible. So when you write a check to Joe for $100 and Joe goes to his bank and he cashes that check gets entered into as a digital representation of that transaction, and then it's a digital representation that takes the money out of your account, puts it in his. All of that is kept in ones and zeros in the ether, if you will. It's a digital world. So when we talk about cryptocurrency, we talk about it being a digital world. Now, it has to operate on something. If it's digital, it has to operate on the internet, right? So within the internet, there are, when we talk about blockchain, we talk about the blockchain being a centralized or decentralized system. Every transaction that you conduct today, when you go to your bank, is in a centralized system. It operates kind of like the spoke of a wheel. All of the spokes come down to a core in that wheel, and that core is a centralized database of information, okay? I'm going to show you this in a moment, what that means, but the blockchain is a secure, immutable, safe, functionary, digital ledger. So think of ledger. Let's talk about the ledger for a moment. Every time you do a transaction at your bank, at your home, at your business, you keep track of it on a ledger. So when you wrote that check to Joe for $100, you wrote in your book, I wrote a check to Joe for $100. That's your ledger transaction, right? We've always written those in our checkbooks. Well, when it goes to the bank, it goes in there as your statement, it goes in there as a deposit slip. Those are all ledger entries at the financial institution. So when we talk about a ledger and we talk about the blockchain, we talk about each time an entry is made, each time a transaction is conducted, it's entered in on the blockchain on a ledger. So it's an electronic ledger, it's a digital ledger, but it's a ledger entry all the same. We've been using ledgers since the dawn of time, guys. You know, when you went and saw the caves and they had, you know, art drawn in the caves and they were stabbing the mammoth or whatever it might have been, that was a ledger entry back then. Today it's a bit more complicated and complex, but it is a digital transaction. It is a digital entry in a ledger. So let's go to the next overhead. Thank you. So when we talk about the blockchain, this is the best representation of how it works. So think of a chain link, and then interlocked into that chain link is a ledger, right? And in that ledger is that transaction that you conducted on the blockchain using, say, cryptocurrency. They don't use the blockchain in the current environment that you work today. So when you do a transaction at your bank, there's no blockchain. It's all maintained in a centralized data system, say you do business at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is a great organization, but they're a centralized organization. Just like every other bank, there are 11,000 banks around the country, or around the world. 65 to 7,000 of those reside here in the United States. They're all centralized systems. So when you make a data entry in that, it's maintained in that centralized system. They hold all that data there. When we talk about, and we're going to talk about in a moment, how safe a centralized system is versus a decentralized system. When we talk about the decentralized system, we talk about the blockchain. When we talk about a centralized system, we talk about everything else in the world that we occupy space in today. You go to the doctor, centralized system. You go to the hospital, they take your blood, they take your blood pressure, they know what kind of blood you have. Everything that they treat you with, every medication is maintained in a centralized data port at the hospital, at the doctor's office, at the grocery store. A few years ago, if you guys recall, Target got hacked. You guys remember that? 50 million records were stolen from Target. Now, that wasn't money stolen from Target. That was your name, your address, your social security number, and so forth. And the bad actors that took that information took it from a centralized data. So think of it as a mainframe. All that data goes into that mainframe, and all the bad actors that are hacking every single day only have to hack one centralized record. And in the case of Target, they got away with 50 million records, my stuff, your stuff. And then they sold that to other bad actors who in turn made believe they were you when they went out to conduct business, buy something, sell something. That's why a lot of people use some of these protective agencies to help protect their identities. I don't know if they work or they don't work. I've never used one. If the bad guys want to steal my stuff, they're probably going to be in for an awakening. It's, you know, I don't have a lot of stuff that they can steal, but that's okay. You know, they can try. So think of it again, centralized, decentralized. So in the, don't change for me, but I want to point to the left-hand side of the screen is that centralized, spokes in a wheel, right? And the right side is the decentralized. So think about if Wells Fargo could keep all of their records in 1 million different data ports all at the same time, then they would no longer be centralized, they'd be decentralized. So a transaction that takes place on the blockchain, which Wells Fargo doesn't use, and no bank uses today, is kept in that centralized, but everything on the blockchain is kept on a decentralized basis, which means there are millions of data ports. They call them nodes, N-O-D-E-S, and a node is nothing more than a small mainframe that stores digital data, okay? And there are millions of them located around the globe. And when an entry is made, so if I made a transaction on the in my cryptocurrency wallet that I have with an exchange, and I make a transaction, I buy something, I sell something, I trade something, whatever it is that I do, that is recorded on the blockchain. That blockchain record is made, and within about 13 seconds, it is now recorded around the globe in 2 million different spots. So to hack that, I'd have to hack all of those, not just one central location. So to go back to it, you do your record keeping with your bank, just as I do, no different, and there's one place where all of that data is kept. In a blockchain environment, and I can tell you every bank in the country is working on a blockchain relationship right now. They're either going to build their own, or they're going to occupy space on one of the 16 different blockchains that currently exist. The blockchain that I like is the Ethereum blockchain. You guys have all heard Ethereum being traded. If you looked at the stock market, Ethereum is quoted up there as just like Bitcoin is. And typically they don't register the Bitcoin price of what a Bitcoin is unless they also represent what the Ethereum price is. But Ethereum owns and has developed back in 2015 a blockchain, a decentralized digital world of ledger entries. And that's the one that Mercy will use when Nathaniel gets up here and talks about it. But there are 1,235 different companies that use the Ethereum blockchain. Will the banks use the Ethereum blockchain? Perhaps. Or they'll build their own. But at some point in time, they need to get away from these centralized data centers. It worked great 20 years ago when hackers didn't really know what the heck they were doing. But now, pretty smart people out there all over the planet, and they can hack what's going on in your living room just as easily as they've been able to hack what's going on in a number of different places. The Colonial Pipeline last year got hacked. They shut it down. They held it for ransom. and they paid a $5 million ransom for that, and then they turned it back on. Now, I guarantee you the guys at the Colonial Pipeline went out and got some really smart coders to go in there and create a more difficult environment in their centralized system to stop people from doing that in the future. Wells Fargo is a safe place to bank. B of A is a safe place to bank. The reality is that they are and can be hacked. The blockchain, I'm going to say not so much. It's not been hacked up to this point that I'm aware of, okay? It doesn't mean that there aren't wallets, crypto wallets that haven't been hacked. There have been, but they're centralized, guys. A wallet on my phone is my little centralized, so if they hack my phone and they got my 12-word code, which means the encryption on it is pretty solid, then I guess they could hack me and steal from me. But they couldn't hack the blockchain transactions that I did. They're immutable, can't be changed, can't be modified.
So, Rich, let me jump. You're talking a lot about security issues.
I am.
Right? And that the blockchain creates, it sounds like, a more secure environment by decentralizing things. Is that, so is security, it sounds like, was one of the key elements of crypto that we should be aware of? And I want to make sure, what are some of the other elements of crypto that differentiate it from our current system besides, it sounds like more secure because it's on the blockchain. Is that bottom line?
Let me give you a few facts and figures that I think will help you understand and grasp in a wider sense the blockchain and cryptocurrency. Because let's be clear, cryptocurrency doesn't operate unless it's on the blockchain, okay? Just can't. When you create a cryptocurrency, like when they created Bitcoin and they created 21 million Bitcoins, I'm close to the total number. Those were all created and or will be created through mining and whatnot, but those 21 million are unique signatures on the blockchain. So they have been created in a digital format and it exists on the blockchain and they are unique. You can't increase the number, you can't decrease the number of, now you can take them out of the market by owning them, just like when you buy Apple and you take it and put it in your portfolio and you want to hold it for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you've kind of taken those shares of stock out of trade, right? A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that with Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies as well. They will acquire whatever cryptocurrency they want, they'll put it in their portfolio, and then they'll wait 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road until it is increased in value, or maybe not. You know, cryptocurrency, like the stock market, goes up and down. But there are, 18,000 different companies today around the globe that accept cryptocurrency as payment for their products and services. There's a few law firms here in town that I've done business with and do business with that accept cryptocurrency as payment for their products and services. So you want to pay your bill because, you know, they put together a commercial real estate contract for you, you can pay them in cryptocurrency, and they accept that. Now what they'll do is they'll convert that cryptocurrency to US dollars and stick it in their bank account and pay their bills just like every other business. If you're a business owner today, I would tell you, and this hopefully is a roundabout way of answering your question.
That's right,
Presley. But if you're a business owner today and you compete with the guy down the street in your HVAC business or whatever business it might be, if he starts accepting cryptocurrency for payment for products and services and you don't, you're going to be behind the 8 ball because cryptocurrency is changing the way we live. Let me flip to one. I picked out 5 or 6 things that have changed the world. Henry Ford built the Model T, and the way he started building the Model T is he put a group of people at this table together and they built a car. And then this group of people, they built a car. Now, the cars didn't look alike because this group built it a little differently than this group did. Then he created the assembly line, came up with that development. That changed the entire planet. Now, it didn't change it the day he developed it, the day he started using it. but within the next several years, it was adopted all over the planet. And it changed the way mass production occurred. I can't read that over. The internet, 1983, the smartphone, 2007. I mean, the cell phone existed long before 2007, but it didn't become smart until 2007. It changed the way that you do business. Everybody in this room has a smartphone on them, or it's in your car, or it's in your pocket. But I don't know that there is anybody today that doesn't use their smartphone. Changed the world. Absolutely changed the world. And it's 100% digital. The modern-day electric car, Elon Musk, brilliant individual, created a car that with one charge can go 2, 3, 4, 500 miles between charges. Now, the electric car was created back in the late 1800s. Didn't go very far, didn't go very fast, but it was created back then. It didn't change the world and the way we think about EV vehicles until 2012 when the Model S came out, right? Cryptocurrency and the blockchain. From a safe and secure standpoint, in 2008, and it was widely adopted in 2012, changed the world. And it is changing the world. 300 million people trade cryptocurrency today. 18,000 businesses, as I pointed out, accept cryptocurrency as payment. This has changed the world, guys.
All right, I'm going to just jump in. I want to give you a couple minutes here to wrap up on, I mean, I know we can't summarize it, and then we're going to transition over. Yeah, I won't ask another question because I want you to cover this. We talked about that.
Question comes up, how do you trade or transact cryptocurrency? You do it on an exchange. No different than you go to your broker, your Wells Fargo management account or your Fidelity account or something, and you buy and sell Apple or Microsoft or General Motors or whatever it is you do. Exchanges in cryptocurrency are very similar to that. You go onto your wallet, and then your wallet is tied to a brokerage firm in the crypto business. So they call it Coinbase is a very popular one. There are lots of exchanges that exist out there. Let's go ahead to the next slide. This is an example of what a crypto wallet looks like on a cell phone. This kind of looks not undifferent than what you would look at if you were looking at your Fidelity account when you were trading a stock or a bond. It looks the same and acts the same. Let me tell you something, guys. It's pretty close to the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like there's this big change, but then when you see stuff like this, you go, oh, I kind of understand that. You know, like
it's not as complicated as we thought it was. We live in a digital world, always have. Well, have for the last 25 years, okay? So that shouldn't shock you. Digital currency, if that is a concern to you, it shouldn't be. It is the way the world is going. Last week, through a couple of exchanges, they raised $40 million in cryptocurrency and sent it over to the people in Ukraine. And that happened in a matter of days. It happened very quickly. I'm not talking about the truckers using a GoFundMe thing up in Canada. I'm talking about the crypto world stepped up, put $40 million in the hands of the Ukrainians by transacting on the blockchain in cryptocurrency. It's changing the world. And they did that literally in hours, guys. A crypto transaction takes 13 seconds to occur. You send a wire to one of your people that you buy from, a vendor that you do business with, that could take 2 or 3 days. In the crypto world, it takes seconds. And the companies that are coming out as crypto XRP, when the financial network that they're creating, these companies are doing incredible things, and it is very safe and it is very secure because it's on the blockchain. And a few years from now, my bank and others like mine will be operating on the blockchain because we need to. We need to stop all those bad people over there that are doing, that are hacking us. We got to stop it. And this is one way we can do it.
You as a bank, you'll be taking in these different types of crypto. People will be putting
I don't know
their
that we'll be taking in
crypto
crypto.
on your blockchain, or
Or what we could create our own blockchain, and all of the digital transactions that come into the bank can be stored and saved in the blockchain.
yeah.
And that will make it impossible, Presley, when you decide to hack my bank account, it'll make it that much more difficult for you to do that.
So it'll create security, but then will I be
Absolutely.
putting Ethereum and Solana, will I be putting that in your bank?
At some point in time, within the next several years, absolutely. That has to be the next step. It absolutely
Really?
has
Or
to
do
be.
I not need a bank at all?
Well, and how many people,
Danger,
share
there's
with me,
bankers in the room.
by hand, how many people go to your bank once a week? Nobody raised their hands. Oh, I got one. Stop that. You don't go to your bank anymore because you do it all electronically. You do it on your phone. You do it on your laptop at home. You do it on your desktop at home. That's how business is done.
Yeah, it's already done that way.
It's already done that way. Cryptocurrency, so the leap to cryptocurrency is not very far. It's a small step. You got to get comfortable with it, but it's a small step.
Okay, I'm going to jump in there. That's a great stopping point. We're going to have a chance for Rich to come back up and answer questions generally about crypto at the end. I swear, this is like the movie Inception, where you like go to sleep into one layer of some world that didn't exist before, and then you go to sleep in that world, and it takes you to another world, right? Does anyone? I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the Matrix or I'm in Inception, Nathaniel. I'm in one of those things, and I'm trying to
blockchain,
swim
actually.
my way out. I'm watching it.
You're on the blockchain.
Oh, I'm living in the blockchain.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So before we talk about Mercy, because this is, I just went to sleep down to another level. What was your aha moment about crypto? Like, when did you go, oh, well, yeah, this is going to change everything, personally?
I mean, I like numbers. I like finance. If you asked me in kindergarten what I liked the most in school, it was Bible class and it was math. So I think it's still the case now, but going way back, I'd say even in college, I was looking into some of this. I wasn't as involved as I am now, but hearing what
When
could
were you
be
in college?
a while ago, 10 years ago,
10
finished undergrad.
Okay.
So
Looking into it 10 years
started
ago.
hearing about it a bit.
Really?
Really, these last few years is where it kind of was that extra level of inception, I guess I got to. But,
Yeah, I'm going to get my own podcast.
you know,
Okay, so college, you start hearing about it, but then, so do you think we're at a tipping point? There were 4 Super Bowl commercials about this thing. I mean, now it's not just the college kids. It's a lot of people that are interested.
yeah, you've got Staples Center was renamed. I mean, you've got some big money being spent on marketing for cryptocurrencies. I mean, Super Bowl ads aren't cheap. You can hear what those go for. I mean, they're really trying to get people involved. I remember during the World Series, you had a guy with a big moon head walking around at every World Series game, every playoff game. That was one of the exchanges for cryptocurrency. They were paying him to travel around, or paying probably multiple people, but to go around and travel, be seen at the games. I mean, there's huge money going into marketing right now.
And just to touch on this adoption piece before we get into Mercy, I mean, the adoption of money, isn't that the real trick? I mean, once people have adopted it to the point where I agree with Matt that we can exchange this for value, then that's the end of the story, because if he has something I value and I want it and I've got this thing to exchange. So if enough people adopt it, is it inevitable at this point?
I mean, if someone says Bitcoin doesn't have any value, then just say, well, send me one. I mean, people will say, clearly there is some assigned value to it, and it's, if I'm going to sell my car, what am I going to get for it? Well, there's an assigned value, what someone's willing to pay for it, and it's similar to that, and you've got more and more people getting involved and adapting to this.
Yeah, I mean, I read somewhere that it's being adopted faster than the internet, and only picking up speed. So not to say that that's the end of the game, that it proves that it works and that it's secure and all that. But if it's being adopted, like you said, it's got value, right? It's just an interesting piece of the puzzle for me. Now, you are a super smart guy who just finished a program at MIT about something related to this. I'm not clear on, and you're making your own crypto. Is that the idea?
Yeah,
With
I
Mercy?
mean, that video we just saw was really the last 15 months of work put into about 90 seconds, what we've come up with. And everything seems easier if you can make it into a cartoon. That's just kind of my understanding. So I think that goes back to even the 70s in school. If you can make it into a cartoon, you'll understand how a bill becomes a law. So, and it'll stick with you. So we got that just in the last week. But this idea actually was when I was working on my MBA. It was back in January 2020. I only say the date because it gave me a 2-month head start on learning how to use Zoom before everybody else. But I was at Colorado Christian. I took all these MBA-type classes, business law, finance, and I'd get all the work done by not going to sleep on Friday night. That's just how I like to get everything done. I'd get ahead in class, kind of just got used to it, couldn't turn my brain off, so I just kind of worked, didn't even get tired, worked through the night. And then I got to my HR class, and you'd think it was the cure for insomnia. I didn't know how to stay awake working in that class. We had an assignment where we had to write 30-page HR manual, regulations, all of this stuff. And it was hard because I can't stay awake working on that. I got to make it more exciting somehow. So that's where the idea is, well, what if I wrote a manual for a cryptocurrency company? And that's kind of where it all started. I ran with that idea. I don't know if the professor didn't understand it enough, but they gave me a good score on that and how it was done. But then I used it as the capstone project for my MBA. I got a lot of feedback from a lot of different professors at Colorado Christian, and they said, hey, you should really do something with this. And I said, well, I should learn what I'm talking about first, and then I'll get back to you.
Because they don't know what
As
you're
far as I
talking about
know,
yet
yeah.
either, probably.
They use
Okay.
some big words, and I thought, well, ecosystem, I use that enough times, we're good. But then I thought, well, let's get a better idea what cryptocurrency is, what the blockchain is. And then I talked to Rich, I talked to some other advisors, talked to Chris, everyone knows here, a few other people, even talked to some attorneys out there. There's blockchain attorneys all over the country, some of them in New York, Miami, Philadelphia.
Attorneys are getting involved, yeah?
If we
Now we know it.
we couldn't offer them lunch, but I got really good at Zoom, so we could talk
You
on
could
Zoom.
do that.
So we did that.
So did you learn right then what the difference was between one cryptocurrency and another?
I started to. I did a lot of homework.
Yeah,
I mean, mostly Friday night I did that homework.
You
But that's
did
when
that.
I would look into all of these other
Right.
cryptocurrencies.
so you wanted to create one that was unique in its own way.
Yeah, they all, at least most of them, try to have some kind of a purpose.
They have some, is that what it is? They have some sort of purpose associated with them.
Even if they say they have no purpose, whether it's a picture of a dog. I mean, I'm a dog guy myself, but
What's the
that's-
purpose of the dog one?
there's some of them out there. There's a lot of them. They have a different dog picture. We had one in our...
I know, but what's the
Yeah.
purpose of the cryptocurrency? Is it to help dogs?
There is one in town, actually, where they give less than 0.5% of their bottom line to animal shelters. So there
Okay.
are
But
some
the
out there that try
purpose-
to have a purpose that,
Okay.
that help.
The purpose
but-
is profit, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're businesses that are creating something of value that they want invested in.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Okay, and then they each kind of try to sell that in a different way. We give a little, very small amount to dogs,
Yeah.
or whatever, and that's why you should buy ours. Is there any other difference besides they have some sort of social element to
If
them?
it's a cute cartoon, that seems to
Like
work
it's just a
too.
marketing gimmick.
Yeah.
But other
for a
than
lot
that,
of
they
them.
all operate on the blockchain, and they're all a cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
the more I
right?
looked into all these different cryptocurrencies, I was trying to find one that had a focus on nonprofits.
Okay?
Is there one out there that's the whole purpose of it, to have one that helps nonprofits? There's a few out there that say they do, or that a certain percent of a fraction of a percent goes to a nonprofit, but I couldn't find one that had this business model. So that's kind of what we started with.
Okay. So how do you make one? Like, I made a crypto baby. I don't know, how do you make it? Do you type something on a computer? Do you light a fire? what do you do?
You start with a good engineer, like with a lot of things. You get
It's a code.
Get a blueprint, yeah. And, you get your concept, how it's going to operate. You find your blockchain. You offer them a few good meals here and there, and then you make it.
I could make one?
Yeah, I could walk you through how to do that.
You shrug all the time like,
Yeah,
well, you just
could
do
do
this
that.
and then you.
Yeah.
So you hire an engineer, they write a code, boom, you name it, it's a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I did a few just for
And
fun
that's
to try,
oh, you did a few for.
just to practice. I didn't sell them, but
Has
I just
anyone
thought,
else
you
in
know,
the
let's
room
just do it
made a
to try it.
cryptocurrency? Is that my? No, you tried. You made a few. Okay.
Yeah, just to practice, just to make them.
But no one would trade yours because.
I didn't list it for sale. It was more of an exercise, just
Okay.
to give it a try. Yeah.
Okay.
Different types of exchanges, different trains, you know, to try.
Do you still stay up all night Friday
Yeah.
night?
I try
Or is that a
not to.
college thing? Okay.
I
all
try
right,
not
all right.
to.
So, okay, so you landed on Mercy. I know I'm
Yeah.
derailing your presentation a little bit, but you landed on Mercy. It's designed. Its unique selling proposition. Would that be
Yeah.
a good term? Is that it provides this give back to nonprofits.
Yeah, so we looked into different cryptocurrencies, and we saw some that would donate, you know, a quarter of 1% of their bottom line to a different cause. So we thought, well, what if we took that model and we flipped it upside down? What if we took from our top line and made it 98% or more, depending on how much we can scale it, and made that number the amount that goes to the different nonprofits? So that's really what we started with. We want to make sure as much as possible goes there. We started forming an advisory board to help give us ideas, business pointers. One of them is a Charles Schwab advisor, and we got him on board. We got Charles Schwab to work with us. There's actually not many big financial institutions that are all that comfortable taking cryptocurrency funds, and they are. So we have an account with them where any funds that come in end up going there, and they'll invest those funds, and quarterly they'll be paying out to the nonprofits that we partner with. So.
Okay. So I want to compare it to like a company on the stock exchange, right? So if I want to buy into that business, I can just buy a share of that business as an investor.
Yeah,
so
you can
I
buy
can
into
come to
it.
you and I can buy a crypto.
Yeah, you can exchange
I mean,
for
I
it.
can buy a
Yeah,
part of it, a piece of it, a crypto,
yeah,
or what?
a Mercy token is what
A
we're calling
token.
them. Yeah, they
Okay.
call them tokens.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got lost on nodes.
yeah,
But
well,
I'm back with
you're
you
back
on a
with me on
token.
tokens,
This
yeah.
is a token,
Yep.
and I can buy a token from you that's a Mercy token
Yeah, that's correct.
on the blockchain
Yep,
that's attached to nodes.
yep,
Okay.
you got it. You're set.
Hey, huh? So, okay. So you're selling, how are we doing? Oh, we're doing good. We're gonna do questions here in a second. Tell me how that works for people who buy a token. What does that mean?
Sure. So when someone buys a Mercy token, let's say someone has $100 that they'd like to put in and buy Mercy. You'll be prompted, if you'd like to donate, either 5, 10, or 20%. You don't have to, but you'll be prompted to, just like if you want to donate, like you already donate to organizations. But we have a foundation set up, 501c3, and the money that they donate can be tax deductible because it's a donation to a nonprofit. And all of the money from that transaction, that $100, still goes to our Schwab account, which is held by our foundation. So all the money goes there. But
Gets invested.
It's invested there, yes. So that's what they call in the tokenomics. So there's the slides again. That explains
Yeah, you
it
can
too.
call up
can
your
read it
slides. I'm
along.
sorry. Yeah.
Not a problem.
Feel free to
if they
call
want
them
to
up.
read along. But that's kind of the process on how it would work. The money then is invested, but if someone wants to be donating, that helps increase the value of it. Because let's say someone has that $100 and they donate $20, so they get 80 Mercy with them. Let's say it's a market price of $1. Then they get 80, the foundation gets $120. Really, that 20 Mercy gets resold, but ultimately the foundation would have $120 at Schwab. They would get 80. They would also recognize a $20 tax deduction.
Okay.
And
And
then-
it grows because more people recognize, more people that jump in, right? The more people
Yeah.
that adopt Mercy as a vision for their philanthropy or a vision for even the value exchange, the more the value of it grows. And then they can benefit from that if they sell it?
Yeah, they can then exchange it.
They
Let's
can
say they buy it at
exchange it.
$1, it goes to 2, and they want to donate it, well, it's at $2. Well, the current fair market value is what that deduction amount would be recognized as.
Okay.
So,
Are we following? Yeah, okay.
but
Yeah, okay. That's great. I mean, so it's a foundation, and I can buy into it. And how much is it right now? How much does it cost?
well, we're going to open the market. We're looking at this summer at $1.
Okay, starts at $1. Sky's the limit.
Yeah. Mercy has no limit.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that was good. That was good. I like that. Okay, all right. Is there anything else you want to mention about Mercy before I take questions from the crowd?
I think we got one last slide we can leave up if that's all right. That one there. But,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, and these guys are going to be
Yeah.
around. Like I said, folks, we can't cover all this. And you have an event coming up about Mercy, right?
Yes, we do. A week
You can
from
go ahead
today.
and mention that.
Yeah. Week from today, we have a kickoff event at the Embassy Suites, Scottsdale and Chaparral, and there's the details there. But
Great.
everyone's welcome to come to that.
Okay. And that idea there is to educate people. Maybe they'll invest. They want to participate. Yeah.
That might be a little more of a solicitation than this one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. It's got to happen at some point. We even got a pastor to solicitate sponsors earlier. Did you see that? That was big. That's hard to do with a
We'll have
pastor.
to talk. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's go to do some questions. Thank you very much. Rich is going to come back up. We're going to stand up so these guys can share the mic. And we've got questions that are going to come up on the screen up there. Give Nathaniel a round of applause, though, before we do. I don't need that. Okay. All right. We've talked about blockchain being safe and secure, but what about the risks with the variety of digital currencies? And that's where the question ends. Is that the question?
Oh, it is up here.
Oh, well, you guys have just read it. Okay. With the variety of digital currencies themselves, stability, okay. Who wants to tackle that?
Blockchain be safe, secure.
Nathaniel, go.
Yeah. I mean, there's volatility. You hear about that quite a bit with cryptocurrencies. They're going to move around a lot. There's lots of rumors and whispers of regulations. That's why very few cryptocurrencies are actually based in the U.S. because of those regulations, because of the SEC. I mean, there's going to be risks associated with that. So,
Are you able to compare the volatility of digital currencies to fiat, like currencies like the dollar, the peso,
I mean, there are
yen,
some
et cetera?
cryptocurrencies
Those are
that
the
are
only two I
tied to
know.
those fiat currencies. You've got different ones in each different countries that are tied to those. I'm trying to, one of the biggest ones, the third largest one, you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then Tether. Tether is tied to the US dollar. It's actually based out of Hong Kong where they made Tether. But when things are very volatile, people move them to those cryptocurrencies that are tied to the fiat currencies, like
Okay.
that one.
What about regulation? Can you speak to regulation, either of you, as far as what regulation currently exists, what the future of regulation looks like? Does the government even know this is happening, quite frankly?
Yeah. I mean, it's been in the Fed minutes. The most recent Fed meeting mentioned it. The FBI created a task force just a month ago that would help track down some of the bad players in cryptocurrency. So there are people that are trying to go after the bad guys out there. Really, the biggest regulation is from the SEC, and it's from the 1940s, called the Howey test. And that's whether or not it's a security. So that's the big one that anyone starting a cryptocurrency wants to look at. And that's really, it's outdated. Anyone would ask you and talk about it. But that's the current regulation that every cryptocurrency that's starting up is looking at if they're looking to start in the United States.
So if you think regulation needs to be here at some point, is it way ahead of that, way behind that?
Well, using the words regulation and need make us a little uneasy as bankers back here.
Fair enough, fair enough. You think need maybe is the wrong way. Where it's going to land,
Yeah.
is it going to increase dramatically, right? Would be a safe assumption.
What's tricky is you've got cryptocurrencies starting in different countries that have different regulations, but when you've got a blockchain that's global, people can go and buy it and get it anywhere. So for us to have certain regulations that apply to starting it here, well, we'll just go start it in Barbados or
So
Malta
yeah, that's
or the Caymans.
interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
it's back to Rich's point about decentralization. I know
Yeah.
I read an article that China had banned Bitcoin mining, right?
Yeah.
Well, so all the miners just left China,
Yeah,
which is really interesting because then it really creates some challenges for regulation. Okay. All right, next question. That's the same one. There we go. Can you speak to the debasement? You guys can read it. You just read it. Valuation. Bitcoin is offering. Woo. Man. Some smart people in the crowd today with some big words. Whoa. Basement and devaluation of the government-controlled fiat currencies and how Bitcoin is offering a solution to this rapidly. Okay, I think that means the government has printed too much money, and how is Bitcoin getting in the way of that? Is that translation?
I think there's a lot of ways that you can take this question. This is an economics question. So from our perspective, the government needs to take greater.
Come up here with me.
I think the government is attempting to take. Oh gosh.
Come on up on the stage. Keep coming. There you go.
The government and most large financial institutions are going to take a bigger place in cryptocurrency. We're going to see greater regulation come in, and when that occurs, I think you will see the volatility occur less. I mean, that may be the best way that I can answer this question, because
well, what about
governments do a poor job in controlling fiat currencies currently.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, so what happens? They just don't do a very good job of that today. So, I mean, we saw the price of oil go up 4 times in the last 15 months, 16 months. I mean, there was a time when it was at $25 a barrel 15, 16 months ago. It's $115 today. So when we talk about fiat currencies, we have to really enlarge that whole discussion to create a discussion more about silver, gold, all types of investments, commodities included, that you would use or you would invest in to mitigate and or reduce the risk that you have in your portfolios. Preston,
yeah, I think maybe what we're getting at here is the government's printing more money, it devalues, so they have control over, right, the government has control to some degree over the quantity of money that's out there and how that value, they play with it.
Let me answer that question this way. When you cash your check for $100, and you go to the bank and you turn it into a $100 bill, you take $100 out of your Bitcoin, and you send it to your bank, and you turn that into a $100 bill, you still have the same problem with the fiat currency side of things, guys. That doesn't change. So I don't know that we're going to see, if we think that cryptocurrency is going to control or stabilize fiat values from the pound to the euro to the US dollar to the Canadian dollar and so forth, I think the jury's out on that.
Okay.
And so I hate not to answer a question, but I'm not going to answer that question.
Yeah.
I don't, because I don't know, okay. I don't think anybody can.
Yeah. All right, next question. Whew, here we go. These questions are giving me heart palpitations. As potential investors, should we consider regulatory risk investing in non-registered securities due to their lack of decentralization? In the U.S., all traded tokens except Bitcoin and Ethereum have been deemed such.
So this is the biggest question that a lot of people are dealing with, not just in the United States, but all over. Okay, so is it a security? Is it not a security? Is it a utility token? Is it a stable coin? And when we talk about cryptocurrency and we say coins, tokens, they're the same thing. Okay, in reality, they're the same thing. Bitcoin is a coin because it owns its own blockchain. Ethereum is a coin because it owns its own blockchain. But when I take a position on Ethereum's blockchain, I'm a token. Okay? That's really what distinguishes tokens and coins to a large degree. Coins, to the largest extent, are used as currency. So when you guys were talking about Dogecoin a little earlier, it was it's a cryptocurrency. It really has no other purpose in life than to buy and sell things. So if you want to go buy a Tesla, you can use Dogecoin to go buy a Tesla today. If you own that much Dogecoin, good for you, or not because it's gone down. But due to the investing in non-registered securities, yes, cryptocurrency to the largest extent is a non-registered security if it is a security. If it's not and it's a utility, then it doesn't really challenge you on the question of as it relates to a security, and the SEC will be neutral on that. That being said, there are a lot of utility tokens that exist out there that are securities, guys. And you have to be careful. You have to do your research. And just like if you're going to go buy a stock or a bond, you're going to read the prospectus on that. And any cryptocurrency that you buy or transact on, you should investigate it. And if you don't know enough about it, then call him, because he's obviously has got a pretty good education on it. Or call somebody that you can trust that can help you with that. That's the best answer that we can give.
Okay, we have time for one more question. And seriously, I'm going to have to create a banker breakout room, I think, if this next question is like these last ones. Go ahead. Is it up there already? Okay, it's already up there. Too late. Clarify the Bitcoin.
You want to try this one? You want me to do it?
I mean, there's not much to say there.
Okay, so they answered their own question? Is that right?
I don't think it's true.
Okay, so the position is...
It's not true.
Okay, no, that was a short one. Okay, no, here we go. Okay, so the second part of this is this questioner's answer to their question. Okay, so that's their opinion on Bitcoin, and we're going to leave that one there. And then how do you make money on Mercy?
So for Rich and I, or for anyone else holding it.
Yes, come on the stage.
All right, well.
Come here.
That's the big question. I don't know. We talked to our attorney just before coming here. And I think he said not to answer that until next Thursday.
Well, he's making money,
But
I guarantee you.
Rich wasn't on that call. That was just me he told that to.
Okay.
You're making money for the foundation.
Yeah, so
And you're employees of the foundation. Is that true?
we have two companies. One is our foundation. One is MRCY LLC. That's a marketing company that we've also started. So we went to Jennings Strauss first to help get our entities made. And we said, look, here's what we're trying to do. And can you guys help us do that? So they helped structure everything. They helped us with the 501c3 and then the LLC as well. So we have a marketing company that will help us grow it, help promote it. We've got a few ideas. We're doing lunch next week with a NASCAR driver as possibly be on his car, be the Mercy car. But we have a marketing company that helps with those kinds of things. So that's a company that we would be, that we've started.
Okay.
So employees of.
So you're going to make
So if it's
money.
for us.
There's investors. Mercy grows. The foundation makes the majority of the money, but you guys will be part of that either through the marketing company or otherwise.
Yeah.
That's my legal.
Yeah.
That's just Jennings Strauss hasn't called me yet, but
Let me be very specific on will we make money on this? I hope so. That said, that 2% that goes to all the expenses and managing and marketing and developing, whatever we get paid would come out of that. Okay? If that helps.
perfect. Okay, I
None
gotta
of the
cut you off.
98%, that all goes to charities. And that's the way it should be.
All right,
Yeah.
Nathaniel. Oh, did you have? It's got to be.
We couldn't
quick.
even touch it if we wanted to. It goes out to Charles Schwab.
Goes out.
Fiduciary handles it. We have no control over it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You don't seem too suspicious. I think people just
No.
want to know.
Yeah.
So, all right, round of applause, and then David's going to come up. David.